Tolomatic Incorporated, manufacturers of quality linear motion products, presents field repair of the BC2 Series band cylinder. This videotape will cover field repair procedures using Tolomatic band cylinder repair kits for 1-inch through 2 1/2-inch bores. The slight differences in repair procedures between this group of cylinder bore sizes will be discussed as they occur in the repair procedure. For repairing BC2 band cylinders, Tolomatic recommends you use the following supplies. For cleaning of cylinder parts, a water-soluble cleaner such as Alpha 3 or equivalent, and clean, dry cloths. For resecuring screws, Loctite number 242 or equivalent is recommended. For lubricating parts, use a Teflon bearing lubricating grease such as Magnalube G or equivalent. Repair kits for cylinder sizes 1 through 2 1/2 inches include an inside sealing band, an outside dust band, 2 end caps, band inserts, springs, bearing rods, U-cups, and cushion seals for the piston assembly, O-rings for the cylinder head assemblies, O-rings for the cushion needle valves, and wear rings for cylinders with bore sizes of 1 1/4 inch and larger. Tools required for assembly are a vernier caliper or metal ruler to accurately determine the trim length of bands, a set of Allen wrenches, a blade-type screwdriver, an O-ring pick or similar tool, a tin snips, a torque wrench, an appropriate size socket set, a rubber-headed hammer, and a razor blade. Disassembly procedures. Remove the cylinder heads. Dismount the cylinder from its application and place it on a workbench. For cylinders with bore sizes of 1 through 1 1/2 inches, first loosen the socket head cap screw, which holds the band clamp in place, until the screw head just protrudes past the end of the cylinder head assembly. Gently tap the screw with a plastic-headed hammer to unseat the wedge in the head assembly, which in turn releases the bands. For cylinders with 2 or 2 1/2-inch bore sizes, loosen the 2 set screws from the top of the cylinder head assemblies to release the bands, then remove the band cover. Remove foot-mounting hardware from the cylinder if present. Next, remove the 4-cylinder head screws. With a rubber-headed hammer, gently tap the cylinder head away from the tube to release the head from the cylinder. It may be necessary to rock the cylinder head back and forth, or use a flathead screwdriver to carefully pry each of the cylinder heads off. Be careful not to damage the tube or the heads when doing so. Unscrew the cushion needle valve and remove the O-ring. With an O-ring pick or similar tool, remove the O-ring from the seal grooves on the head snout. Repeat this procedure for the second head. Remove the carrier assembly. Remove the shoulder bolts from the carrier. Then release the end caps by removing all 3 screws on one end cap. Remove only the top screw on the other. Pull the end caps away from the carrier, being careful to contain the spring located inside the pocket at the top. One end cap will still have the bearing rods attached. Lift off the carrier and remove the end caps. Remove the bands in the piston assembly. Remove the top dust band by sliding the piston bracket assembly out one end of the tube. Lift one end of the dust band, drawing it back across the cylinder tube. With the piston and dust band removed, collapse and remove the inner sealing band. Press down lightly with an O-ring pick, gliding the pick the length of the cylinder tube, releasing the sealing band from its grooved slot. Be careful not to scratch or damage the tube slot. Wipe excess grease from the piston. Remove the cushion seals from the ends of the piston. Then remove the U-cups and the wear rings. Use care when removing to prevent any damage to the grooves. There are no wear rings on the 1-inch bore model. The BC2 band cylinder is now completely disassembled. Before reassembling the cylinder, inspect all disassembled parts for wear. Dampen a rag with water-soluble cleaner. Move the rag back and forth to clean the inside of the tube before inspecting. Lift the tube and check the bore for any defects, scratches, or nicks in or around the tube bore and slot that could affect piston wear. Check the bolt holes on the piston bracket. They should retain their oval shape without irregularities. Upper and lower band ramps should be intact and not worn. Check the piston itself for scratches, nicks, or any other imperfections. Check for excessive wear on the wear rings and bearing rods. Excessive wear could indicate improper adjustment, inadequate lubrication, or that replacement of the cylinder is necessary. Discard all replaceable parts after inspection. If you have any questions regarding possible problems you may encounter, call the Tol-O-Matic hotline at 1-800-328-2174. Reassembly Procedures. Reassemble the piston. Make sure that all repair kit components and cylinder parts are clean, dry, and free of any dirt or debris. Pay particular attention to the tube bore and slot. First, lubricate and install wear rings onto the piston with the thinner edge and widest part of the flat inward. Line up the wider flat portion with the piston band ramp and narrower flat with the flat on the piston end. Lubricate and install the U-cups with lip seals facing out onto each end of the piston bracket assembly. It should fit snugly in its groove. Before installing the cushion seals, check to make sure there is no debris or dirt in the cushion seal grooves that could cause the seals to malfunction. Lubricate and install the cushion seals, small end facing out, into piston ends. Rotate the seals to seat them in the grooves. If you are using optional shock mount kits on the cylinder, do not install the cushion seals. Using them in conjunction with optional shock absorbers will adversely affect shock performance. Lubricate the cylinder tube. Place a generous amount of grease in one end of the tube. Slide in the piston bracket assembly using your fingers to guide the U-cup into the bore to prevent it from folding back onto itself. Run the piston the length of the tube and remove it from the other end. Lift up the tube and inspect the bore for grease distribution. Repeat this procedure if necessary until the tube bore is uniformly lubricated. Install inner sealing band. The inner sealing band is distinguishable from the outer dust band by its sharply ground metal edges. Exercise caution when inserting and inspecting to avoid injury. Apply a thin coat of grease to the rubber portion of the sealing band. Insert the sealing band into the tube by passing it sideways through the tube slot. With the rubber portion up, center the band in the tube so equal lengths extend out both ends. Install piston bracket assembly. Double-check the alignment of the wear rings on the piston so the flats on the rings are lined up with the flats on the piston. This will keep the band from crimping when inserting. Place a small amount of grease into the cushion seals. Fill indentations on both sides of the piston completely with grease. Feed one end of the sealing band down the piston ramp through the bracket while moving the piston bracket assembly into the tube, again using your fingers to guide the U-cup into the bore. Make sure the sealing band does not catch on the lip of the wear ring on the opposite end of the piston. Slide the piston assembly the length of the tube, stopping as the end of the piston exits the tube bore. This will seat the sealing band in its groove. If the tube and piston were greased properly, excess grease should be present on the piston end. Wipe away the excess grease and slide the piston back into the tube. Trim sealing band. With a razor blade, strip rubber from the stainless steel portion on one end of the extended sealing band until flush with the end of the tube. Trim the band to the required length from the end of the tube for your cylinder bore size, using the vernier caliper or ruler as a measuring guide. On all sizes, there is a trim tolerance of plus or minus 0.032 of an inch. Incorrect cut lengths on the 2 and 2 1/2 inch cylinder may result in the band extending out the head slot. This can cause serious injury to the hand when pressing the heads into the tube. Trim the bands accurately to the required lengths. Install cylinder heads. Lubricate and install the O-rings onto the seal groove in the head snout. Lubricate and install cushion needle valve O-rings. screw the cushion needle valves all the way into the head. Insert the head into the tube using a slight rocking motion until the head is flush with the end of the tube. Do not twist the head or the O-ring could be cut, resulting in excessive air leakage during operation. Make sure the rubber portion of the sealing band stays flush with the tube. Install the 4 tapped screws into the head. Tighten to the following torque requirements. Repeat these procedures for the second head. Install upper dust band. Before installing the dust band, make sure it is clean and free of any dust or debris. To ensure that the band seats itself into the tube groove, fill the indentations on each side of the rubber strip completely with grease the entire length of the band. Keeping the dust band free of contaminants, place it over the tube slot, rubber side down, centering the band. Run your finger along the top of the band to force it into the tube groove. Wipe away any excess grease. Strip the rubber from one end of the band flush with the end of the tube. Trim the dust band to the required trim length from the end of the tube. The trim lengths of the dust band have the same requirements as the sealing band trim lengths. The procedure for securing the upper dust band varies slightly depending upon the bore size of the cylinder being repaired. For 1, 1 1/4, and 1 1/2 inch cylinders, insert the trimmed dust band into the head closest to the piston and position the band above the band clamp. Tighten the socket head cap screw to hold the dust band in place. For 2 and 2 1/2 inch cylinders, in the head closest to the piston, center the band wedge in the head slot, placing it over the trimmed inner sealing band. It is important that the band wedge be centered in the head slot opening, or the set screws will not hold the bands properly. Slide the band cover into the grooves of the head. Apply Loctite number 242 to the 2 set screws and tighten the screws to secure the bands. Install carrier. Should the cylinder be equipped with optional switches, be certain when positioning the carrier on the cylinder that the magnet, located on the carrier bottom, faces the appropriate side. In most applications, this will be the port side of the cylinder. Position the carrier on the piston bracket assembly, visually lining up the holes on the carrier with the holes in the piston bracket. Insert the shoulder bolts into the holes with the heads on the port side of the cylinder. Thread the washer and nut on the end of each bolt to hold the carrier in place, but do not tighten at this time. Insert the bearing rods into position on the carrier. Push the end caps on the tube. Place band inserts into the pockets on the end caps, curved portion towards the carrier and spring hole facing up. Insert a spring into the hole of the band insert. With a flat-headed screwdriver or similar tool, compress the spring and slide the end caps up to the carrier. Apply Loctite number 242 to the top end cap screw. Tighten while pushing down slightly on the top of the end cap to keep it aligned flush or slightly below the top of the carrier. This will allow a flat surface for any applicable mounting plates. Apply Loctite number 242 to the 2 remaining end cap screws and tighten. Repeat this procedure for the other end cap. Now tighten the shoulder bolt nuts. Proper tightness will allow the bolt to be rotated with an Allen wrench, but not by the fingers. The tightness of the shoulder bolts will directly affect the breakaway pressure required for the carrier to move, and adjustment will vary from application to application. The tighter the bolts, the higher the breakaway pressure required. Regardless, the carrier should be able to manually move freely without hesitation or binding. Secure free end of dust band. Work slack from bands by moving the carrier back and forth. With a razor blade, strip excess rubber from the free end, keeping it flush with the end of the tube. Cut to the required trim length as before. Secure the free end of the dust band following the same procedures as described earlier for the bore size of your cylinder. Dampen a clean cloth in water-soluble cleaner and wipe the cylinder down thoroughly to eliminate any excess grease. Check the cylinder's internal cushions. Push the carrier to one end. You should be able to feel the cushion decelerate the carrier before the cushion bottoms out. If the carrier slams into the end of the cylinder, either the cushion seals have not been properly installed or the cushion needle valve is adjusted too far out. If the optional shock absorber kits are being used, this step can be eliminated as cushion seals were not installed. Repair of the BC2 band cylinder is now complete, but before installing it back on the application, check your air lines to be sure they are in good condition and free of leaks. Final cushion adjustment. When remounting the cylinder in an application where external shock absorbers are not being used, you may need to readjust the cylinder's internal cushions. Start by screwing the cushion needle valve all the way in, but do not tighten. Then back it out slightly. Cycle the cylinder and back the cushion needle valve out as necessary to reduce the amount of cushion. Doing this will prevent the load from slamming into an under-adjusted cushion and prevent band damage caused from pressure spikes as a result of over-tightening the cushion needle valve. Through the use of this video and Tol-O-Matic's repair kits, we hope to make the field repair of Tolomatic BC2 band cylinders as simple as possible. Should you have any unanswered questions, just call our Tolomatic hotline at 1-800-328-2174, and one of our knowledgeable salespeople will assist you.